Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Neighborhood Co-op Virtual Farm Crawl. Tonight's session focuses on 3 diverse family farmers who are all graduates of the Southern Illinois Farm Beginnings program. My name is Jennifer Paulson. I'm the Executive Director of FoodWorks. We are a nonprofit organization working to grow the sustainable food economy in Southern Illinois through programs like Southern Illinois Farm Beginnings, the Winter Farmers Market in Carbondale, and the Southern Illinois Farming Alliance, which is a network of sustainable farmers. A big thanks to our partners on this event, the Neighborhood Co-op, and I'd like to introduce my co-host, Amy Dion.
Thank you, Jennifer. Like she said, my name is Amy Dion. I am the brand manager for the Neighborhood Co-op Grocery. We aim to serve the needs of our owners and patrons by providing wholesome foods economically in a cooperative tradition in ways that best promotes the health of the individual, the community, and the earth. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors who made this event possible. Those sponsors are AES Solar, Illinois Stewardship Alliance, the Pasture Project, Leaf Online Farmers Market, and Rooted in Foods. To learn more about them, please visit our Farm Crawl website at neighborhood.coop/2020 Farm Crawl. I'd also like to talk for a moment about 2 fundraisers that we are holding for FoodWorks. In a normal year, patrons of this event would purchase a car pass and tour farms. That was not possible this year. So instead, we partnered with Leaf to produce meal kits. And we have a local chef personality, Dr. Nikki Davis, who was generous to volunteer her time to create these recipes. And each of those recipes we paired with ingredients from local sustainable farmers in our area. And each of these kits, when you purchase one, comes with a recipe card, as well as links that videos that Nikki produced to help show you how to make each of those recipes. There are several different kits you can choose from. The orders must be placed online, and you have up until this Sunday to purchase those kits. And so every kit that you do purchase, the money and the proceeds from that go to FoodWorks. The other fundraiser we're hosting is a specially designed shirt and sweatshirt that is available to purchase online as well. We offer adult and youth sizes. Those are available through October 14th. Both of those fundraisers, if you like to get more information on them, you can go to the Farm Crawl website. So Jennifer, let's get this started.
Right. Well, a little bit of housekeeping before we get going. I want to make sure everyone knows that you were muted upon entering the Zoom meeting tonight. Please do leave yourself on mute. That makes things a lot easier to hear our speakers. I also want to let you know that this is being recorded, and we plan to release the recordings to all the Farm Crawl presentations next week via email to our registrants, as well as on the Farm Crawl website. So tonight, we're going to hear from 3 farmers. Each one will have a slightly different format. We'll see some video tours, some presentations, and and then afterwards we'll have a live Q&A with all of our speakers together. We're going to be monitoring the chat throughout the session tonight, so please ask your questions there, and Amy and I are happy to pass them on to our presenters when it's time. So right now, if you haven't used Zoom before, the chat function comes from a button at the bottom saying chat. So you can click that and type your questions. And so right now, go ahead and tell us, where are you tuning in from? It's been interesting to see how far things go. So Southern Illinois Farm Beginnings is one of FoodWorks programs that focuses on giving farmers and food entrepreneurs the tools to succeed by being sustainable in their growing or production methods, as well as in their business practices. This is a year-long program featuring classroom sessions on business and marketing. This year, those will be primarily virtual, on-farm field days, and a mentorship with an established, successful farmer or entrepreneur. One of the wonderful things about this program is that it helps to build your local support network, which is incredibly important for long-term success for any entrepreneur. If you have farm ideas, farm dream, are interested in going into your own, exploring food entrepreneurship using locally grown foods, then we encourage you to reach out to our program coordinator, Margie Sawicki, at margie@fwsoil.org. So that's MARGIE at FWSOIL.org, or to visit our website, fwsoil.org. So tonight we're going to first hear from Meghan DeGroot. And so Meghan is a farmer, teacher, and the owner and operator of Simple Gifts Flower Farm, a small 10-acre farm using permaculture methods in Belleville, Illinois. After training with Southern Illinois Foodworks, and she also took an online course with Florette Flower Farm and sought out additional mentorship and training. She's just finished her 4th season of fresh cut flower production. And now we can see a short video tour of her farm.
Hi there, my name is Meghan DeGroot. I'm the owner and operator of Simple Gifts Flower Farm. And today I'm going to take you on a little tour of our farm. So come on with me. So the first thing is I graduated from Farm Beginnings program in 2016. We started it because my mom and I made homemade bath and beauty products. From some of the ingredients that we used were goat's milk, because I had goats at the time, and I was looking for something to add to our product line. And at the time I thought cut flowers would look really beautiful alongside our homemade bath and beauty products. And so we started doing that 4 years ago after I started the Farm Beginnings program, and the idea of Simple Gifts Flower Farm was born. So if you look here, we have a good sized flock of ducks. On this farm, I try to use as many permaculture methods as possible, which means, we try to use animals to do some of the jobs around the farm to minimize the use of machinery and the use of chemicals. And so our input here for helping keep the pests down are our flock of khaki Campbell ducks. And so khaki Campbell ducks also lay duck eggs, which is a byproduct of them, but their main job here on the farm is to do pest control. So come on this way. Every single year I have a huge amount of compost that's delivered. I do make my own from animal waste. We used to have a horse on the farm. We have sheep, and then we also have the chicken manure, and then also the duck manure. But I can't make enough for my whole farm because we have almost a half acre of flowers in production. And so I have some bust in, and this is our big compost pile. Things are kind of winding down here on the farm. Our hot season is over, the days are getting shorter, and so now things are starting to really wind down. So you're not catching it in the most beautiful of all seasons, but I do want to show you there's a couple things still blooming. So this is one of our smaller patches of annuals. We have about, I guess I grew about 45 different varieties of flowers here right now. In my first year, I only started with 10 varieties. Now at the farm, I grow David Austin garden roses. I grow peonies. We have about 205 peonies plants here now. I've got many flowering shrubs like lilac bushes that I've added, as well as flowering trees. And then I do a huge amount of annuals every year. And this bed is pretty much gone to seed. The weeds have gotten out of control. I'm a school teacher as well. And so when school starts, one of the ways that I help save myself is I stop weeding, which you can really tell. And we just kind of coast on through the season from there. Come on up here. So these are our baby doll sheep. We have 4 of them and they're used to help mow around the property. Right now they're just lambs, but hopefully they will be experienced lawn mowers in the next season to help me kind of keep the grass under control at the farm. There they are, guardian dogs. Buck and Winston, here's the thing. They're not true livestock guardian dogs anymore, though they did start out that way. If you ever do get livestock guardian dogs, one thing I learned is you're not supposed to get siblings. Because what happens is the siblings bond to one another instead of bonding to your stock. So the dogs are getting safer and safer around the poultry every day. Just the sheer presence of them has knocked down coyote predators. We used to have raccoons out here. We still have a hawk that looms around every now and then. But in my first year, we lost 13 birds, which made me get the dogs. Once we got the dogs, we have not had but 1 loss in 2.5 years. So that's pretty good. So even though there are more pets than livestock guardian dogs, they still do a good job on the farm, and they're getting safer and safer with the poultry every day. Come on this way, I'll show you a little bit of the flower field. So this is 1/2 of the farm too, a second small patch. The secret to growing cut flowers is to have small patches that you rotate. So you always have a succession planting going. Come on this way. So this is a small patch. And this is the big field. So down this row here, I have about 65 David Austin roses. And you can see that everything's pretty much going downhill. And then here I've got about 6 80-foot long rows of peonies. And then the field goes all the way out to that fence line. And then next year, we're going to expand. And one of the questions was, okay, how did COVID affect you? Well, one really wonderful thing for us is we already had our CSA. And so people had already paid in for the season. And second of all, we have our flower stand, which I'd like to go show you now. So in addition to the Farm Beginnings program, I went on to I had Delight Flower Farm up in Bloomington, Illinois. They went through the Land Alliance program up in Central Illinois through the Farm Beginnings program there. They were my mentors for a year, which came in fantastic handy. I also volunteered at a garden for a couple years, and my first flower plot was about 45 minutes from here. And Gene Racho runs the stewardship garden in Freeburg, Illinois, and he kind of took me under his wing and showed me some things and allowed me to grow some flowers that first year on this property. In addition to that, I also have read many books, and then also took the Flora online course. I guess it's been 3 years ago now, right after I took Farm Beginnings. So anyway, we don't do a whole lot of open farms through the year, but hopefully, next time we have a U-Pick, I'll see you there. And if you have questions, I'd love to answer them.
Great. Well, the next farmer we're going to hear from tonight is Angela Batson. Angela is a holistic beauty and health practitioner, I should say. Angela is the force behind her business, Envi Botanicals. She's a holistic beauty and health practitioner, a licensed cosmetologist, a licensed massage therapist, and a certified natural products formulator and manufacturer, a clinically certified aromatherapist, an herbalist with background in holistic nutrition and Ayurvedic modalities. She's currently studying to achieve clinical herbalist status with the American Herbalist Guild. She engages in small-scale herb, berry, and vegetable production using sustainable methods, and she produces and promotes bioregional value-added goods for nutrition, medicine, skincare, and personal wares. She offers herbal wellness education, assessments, consultations, and goal for her is to promote bioregional herbalism through collaboration with other farmers and growers in the Southern Illinois region. So now we are going to hear a presentation from Angela about her work.
Welcome to Envi Botanicals. My name is Angela Batson, and I'm a 2018 FarmBeginnings graduate. I currently reside on my husband's family farm. The farm has been in his family for over 40 years. It was used as a conventional row cropping farm and also raising animals. For the past several years, we've been slowly working to get it back to its natural state to see what it will provide. We have many acres that are going through the process of naturalization. On some of the acres that we have, I have several patches, as you can see, that are being restored back to their natural habitat. And I have patches of herbs and patches of berries. And we also have a wooded area where we can afford and wild harvest many of the fruits, berries, and herbs that the land provides. I currently raise medicinal and culinary herbs, as well as fruits and berries and seasonal vegetables. Some of the medicinal and culinary herbs I grow, I am able to use sustainable growing practices. I also companion plant and use bio-intensive methods to be a sustainable grower. I also am able to forage off of the land as well. We also raise an abundance of fruits and berries. And we also wild harvest some of the wild berries and fruits on the property as well. Some of the fruits and berries I raise are blueberries, blackberries, gooseberries, currants, elderberries, figs, and also rose hips, even though I wouldn't consider them a berry, but they kind of look like a berry. And we're also, like I said, able to wild harvest wild plum, autumn berry, and so forth. I also offer distillations of essential oils and hydrosols. I am the proud owner of 2 copper alembic, which the distillations. The plant matter that I am unable to obtain or grow myself, I source locally and regionally through other farms in the area. My main goal in starting the distillations is to be able to help educate the community on the safe use of essential oils and hydrosols and their benefits. In this photo collage, you can see different types of plant matter that I'm getting ready to distill. As you can tell, it takes a very lot of plant matter to obtain any type of an essential oil, but usually you get an abundance of a hydrosol. To give an example, I had around 10 pounds of lemon balm, Melissa officinalis, and it only produced about 8 drops of an essential oil. So there's a lot to think about when you're using essential oils and knowing about the sustainability of it all. And I believe that hydrosols can be just as beneficial in a person's well-being as opposed to an essential oil. I am also a clinically certified aromatherapist and herbal wellness practitioner. I am currently studying to become registered through the American Herbalist Guild as a clinical herbalist. The Farm Beginnings program has helped me to meet certain requirements in herbal business management, which I'm able to use for registration through the American Herbalist Guild. As an aromatherapist and herbal wellness practitioner, I offer consultations and assessments in which you may be paired and educated on the essential oils and herbs that are best suited for your wellness goals. In my herbal studies, there was a quote from Hippocrates that stated, "Let thy food be thy medicine." I also considered all plant to be medicine, as well as good for nutrition. Here in this photo collage, there are several types of herbal preparations going on in here. We have teas, tinctures, a fire cider preparation, a whole plant echinacea tincture, an elderflower and rose infusion, and I also have a cucumber, watermelon, glycerite infusion. So there are various forms of herbal preparations that can be used in both beauty and wellness. In offering value-added products, bioregionalism is an important aspect of my product. To me, bioregionalism signifies diversity and sustainability in the community. One of the key components of the Farm Beginnings program was to help growers connect with the consumers, but also to help growers connect with other growers. The Farm Beginnings program has helped me to obtain an herbal business plan. I am also a grower. I also source from farmers. I offer retail and services, and I also process. One of the main important things the Farm Beginnings program has gave me is the capability to network, to build upon everything that I'm doing right now to create something bigger and better.
All right. Well, our last farmer we're going to hear from tonight is Mike Hatfield of Flyway Family Farm. Mike has been growing specialty mushrooms for over a decade. Flyway Family Farm began 12 years ago in Mikanda, Illinois, and began to produce mushrooms commercially for the region on a full-time basis about 8 years ago. And so Mike is going to tell us a little bit about his farm.
Thank you, Jennifer. Hello, everyone. So a little bit about us and our farm to kind of get you up to speed. Like Jennifer said, we've been doing this, really started as a hobby more than 12 years ago. While I was still an undergraduate at SIU, while my wife and I were dating, our first date was morel hunting in the woods, and that really led into more research into mushrooms, learning more wild mushrooms, and that led down the path of trying to start growing mushrooms. And kind of at the point now where we now grow about 500 pounds of specialty mushrooms each week. We grow throughout the year. We focus generally most weeks on about 8 different species. We do 6 or 7 different types of oyster mushrooms. We do lion's mane, comb tooth, pio pino, chestnut mushrooms, king trumpet, the black pearl king, beach mushrooms, maitake, shiitake, all sorts of things. Everything that we grow at this point is now grown indoors. So we grow on sterilized hardwood sawdust substrates. And by doing everything indoors, we're able to control the climate so that we can produce mushrooms year round. We harvest mushrooms every single day of the year. A lot of the times we're harvesting twice a day. And so we are really able to produce mushrooms for restaurants, CSAs, farmers markets on a yearly basis. Like I said, with getting started, it really started as a hobby and kind of spiraled out of control. When we first started growing, we were growing mostly shiitake mushrooms on logs in our woods. We moved to our farm about 12 years ago, right after we got married. And right away, we started building up our log yard in the woods. Mushrooms were a growing passion at that point. We didn't necessarily know it was going to take us down the road of becoming full-time mushroom farmers at that point, but we knew we really wanted it to be an integral part of our farm. Our dream with our farm was to basically build as self-sustainable farm as we could. And so that meant mushrooms in the woods, gardens, orchards, keeping bees, all sorts of animals, chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, hogs. We've raised everything from sheep and goats to several cows, a couple of horses. We've had alpacas, a donkey, you list it, and we've probably had it here at the farm at some point, if not currently. I graduated from Farm Beginnings, I think it was 9 or 10 years ago now. I can't remember exactly which. It was the first Farm Beginnings class in Southern Illinois. And it was really, really integral to us taking the passion and the hobby of mushrooms to the next level. At that point, we were kind of just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what would stick. We had a small CSA selling mostly vegetables, some of our mushrooms that we had every now and then, selling eggs, our little roadside stand. We were trying to get into farmers markets, but we weren't really established. And back then, 11, 12 years ago, there weren't as many farmers market options as there are now. More and more keep popping up. And we were trying to grow a lot of the same things that everybody at the farmers market already had. Throughout the Farm Beginnings class, was really able to start learning some of the business aspects. We were just starting the move to growing mushrooms in an indoor controlled environment so that we could try to produce them more often, but really had no knowledge of how to turn that into a business. My degree is in forestry. My wife's is in social work. I have absolutely no business background before that, and learned about crop enterprise budgets, learning how to run balance sheets, and really how to figure out if this was something we could do. And when I started crunching numbers, it seemed like, well, hey, maybe this is something we can do. Did some market research. There was nobody else growing mushrooms in our area. At that point, there really wasn't a whole lot of information about specialty mushrooms at all out there. Not like today with Facebook groups and everything. So it was a really steep learning curve, but we got a business plan together through Farm Beginnings and took the leap to start doing it and trying to make a business out of it. And it was really, really vital to what we did. going forward with a business plan and being able to run numbers and make sure we knew what we were doing on a business side of things, not just on how we were growing, was just as, if not more important, as figuring out how to actually grow the mushrooms, because it's a lot harder, especially with a specialized crop like what we have. It's harder to sell them and market them initially than it is to grow them. That was some of the bigger hurdles we were having. Along the way, after that, I've done a little bit of other training and certification. 7 going on almost 8 years ago, I did a month-long internship at a company called Aloha Medicinals out in Carson City, Nevada. I went out there for a month, left my family. At that time, my daughter Iris there was about the age, or a little bit older than Oliver is there. She was about 2 years old, so it was really hard to leave. But I spent a month there learning sterile laboratory techniques, working with some world-class, top-notch mycologists. Before that, I had been buying in a lot of the products that we were needing to grow the mushrooms. I was buying in the spawn. We were doing things pretty low tech, and going through that process, I was able to learn laboratory techniques, how to keep things sterile, how to sterilize products, maintain cell lines. So all of our mushrooms are maintained in my lab in test tubes and petri dishes so that they're clean, isolated cultures. I learned how to do all that. And that really brought our farm full circle. I was no longer dependent on buying these made products from other farms, which saves us some money. But more importantly, it increased our knowledge of what we were doing. So it really took us full circle with the life cycle of the fungi. And it put everything on us as a farm. If something didn't work, there was no longer an excuse of, well, we bought bad spawn, something happened from our source. If something went wrong, it was on us and we had to figure it out. More recently, my wife, Jessica, got her food safety certification so that we could start doing some value-added products. So that we could dry and powder mushrooms for sale. One of our new very popular products is a mushroom jerky. We use the oyster mushrooms and marinate and dry them much like beef jerky, but it's a vegan option that even carnivores love. It tastes a lot like beef jerky. It's really good for you. It's cholesterol free because there's no meat. It's got a lot of the same proteins and vitamins that meat does. Plus, it's just darn delicious. We also do when we have enough, we do some things like pickled shiitakes. My wife does some fermented hot sauces, other things that we've been doing for a while, but wanted to bring from time to time to markets when we have an abundance of it. So, really, basically, if I were to give advice to anybody that was looking to start some sort of a farm business or become an entrepreneur, it would really be to get as much education as you possibly can. When we first started this, there was not a whole lot of options. Now there's a lot of videos online. There's groups on growing. There's more and more people, myself included now, that offer consultation services. And I wish I did that. I would have saved hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars in silly mistakes that we made along the way. It would have made our learning curve a lot quicker and easier. And also connect. You never know when you're going to meet someone that is going to help either themselves or they're going to connect you with somebody that they know that might be a new sales outlet. They might have a different input that you need. Maybe it's cheaper, maybe it's closer and more local. Maybe it's somebody else that shares the same interests and they're doing something and you can bounce ideas off of them. So the more connecting and networking you can do, the better. The internet is great for that because not only can you do it locally, which is great, and I encourage that, because it's always better when you can be with the people, talk to them, see what they're doing. But all these groups on Facebooks and different websites, there are great ways to connect with people who are doing similar things. You can go and learn from them. You can talk with them. and it'll save you a ton of heartache in the long run. But yeah, so here you can see our beautiful family. This was not this spring, but last spring. Oliver's a bit older, in front of one of our peach trees. Besides the mushrooms, we do a little bit of everything, and that was just in bloom. So it was a nice, pretty family picture. So I thank you for this.
Thank you, Mike. It is time for some Q&A. So give us just one moment to get everybody back on and get going.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, please get them in the chats. We're happy to ask them for you. It's a good opportunity to tap into the experiences these people have.
So, I'll start off because I think that, Mike, you already answered this question, so maybe Megan can kind of start us off. It's really for everyone. What advice do you have? Mike shared his advice. What advice do you have, Megan, for someone who's considering starting a farm or maybe going into business, using maybe farm products? What would you recommend for them?
Well, I think that Mike had an excellent point. I mean, the more education that you can get, and there are so many consultants out there now that you can contact, read as much as you can. Farm Beginnings is an excellent spot to start. I know that whenever I took the Farm Beginnings program, I was similar in the way that Mike said. He just kind of threw everything against the wall to see what stuck. And I started that with my Farm Beginnings program. I just had so many ideas, and then the group that was in there really helped me narrow it down. So I think that education is key. Reaching out and finding things and groups that can help you is absolutely key. And just educate yourself and start where you are. I think that was the best advice that I got in the Farm Beginnings program. Was she said, start with what you have. Don't do a pie in the sky. Wait until you have this much acreage, or, someday whenever things slow down. I mean, start where you are. I started in my backyard, and I think a lot of people do. And you just begin, and just beginning and getting that little bit of experience wherever you are will really help catapult you whenever it's time to start your business.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say, I have the pleasure of sitting in on the Farm Beginnings classes each year and getting to know each cohort really well. We do very small groups, so we all get to know each other. But another thing kind of I want to add to that is that you don't necessarily even need to have land of your own to get started. Right. There's a lot of ways that you can access land, or you can purchase ingredients from local farmers to make products. There's a lot. So that's wonderful advice, just to start where you are. I love that. Angela, do you have anything to add?
I mean, I'm connected with 3 other farms right now that grow for me, as well as growing my own. So yeah, and then just keep being educated. Educate yourself. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Amy, do you have a question for the group?
Yeah. This is actually from the audience. With the COVID and the pandemic, what kind of challenges have you guys experienced?
For us personally, it threw us through a loop. We're lucky enough that our sales avenues were already pretty diverse, between doing a couple of farmers markets, direct sales to chefs, a wholesale distributor, couple of CSAs we work with, as well as our own CSA, and then Leaf Food Hub, the online farmers market. But things dropped off really, really fast. All the restaurants shut down. So all those sales were gone. The couple of indoor farmers markets we did, they were towards the end of their season, but they were indoors. So those shut down overnight. And then the distributor was selling everything to restaurants up in St. Louis. So that shut down right away. So it was really scary couple of weeks. The CSAs kept us going. We started selling on the farm, which we've never done before. Having 2 kids, we're just too busy to have people come in all the time. But our diversity really saved us. Something else that it did was it forced us to hire more help. When the farmers markets moved outside and did start opening up, they required extra people. In the past, it had always been it was me at one market or my wife at that market and an employee or my brother at the other market. But they all required 2 people at each market. So we had to hire some extra market help. And then we also had some of our sales outlets like the co-op and their sister co-op up in the Champaign-Urbana area wanted the mushrooms prepackaged. So I had to invest in some packaging equipment. That way the mushrooms were wrapped and nice and not open for people to touch and possibly breathe on and things. So it's really hard because at a time when more than half of our sales dipped, we had to start hiring more people and investing more money. But at this point, it's all kind of leveled out, and they were moves that we were kind of in the process of making anyways, but it gave us a good kick in the butt to get going. Happy to say we've made it through, I think, the worst of it. Hope, fingers crossed. But yeah, it really threw us through a loop there for a little while.
How about you, Megan?
For us, well, I have an honor system farm stand. And so the honor system farm stand that you saw me standing by at the very end of the video is they just pay by putting their money in a birdhouse. And so luckily I had that. And that really picked up because, during this pandemic, what people needed the most was hope and something beautiful to look at, and everybody was home. And so flowers came in handy. We did suffer quite a bit from market sales because this year the market wasn't nearly what it was. Because we had to do so many. First of all, we didn't even have the market in the beginning, but our market manager just went over the top, out of the way to try to figure something out. We ended up doing a drive-through market where people would place orders on the website and then come pick them up at the market. And then finally, we were able to have an open air market with further space between. So the market obviously wasn't what it was before in the years past, but it was still there, which was wonderful. And I had my farm stand, and we also do that CSA where people pay in the beginning of the season. So that really saved us. And we ended up having a pretty good year, even with the terrible pandemic. So we felt really honored because we were able to offer a product that people just really needed. They really needed something beautiful and something to look forward to. So I felt lucky that we were able to do that.
Thank you. What about you, Angela?
I think I was kind of fortunate in a way for the farming part because the pandemic helped me get back to nature, because primarily my finances come from services, but also I offer a wide range of products. So I was able to, do curbside pickup with products. But I think the pandemic for me, kind of a blessing in disguise because it helped throw me back into nature and the plants and being more in tune with my environment. So, but yeah, just hoping for the better.
Is there any way, Angela, for customers to get your products? Because I know that normally you are in a salon and that's closed now. Is there a way for customers to reach out if they're looking for some of your products?
Absolutely. I am working on getting some products on my website. I have a lot of clients that I do custom blends for. And then I also just obtained my certification for my food handler's license. So I'll be offering an even bigger array of products. And I'm also connected with the Village Kitchen in Cobden, which I have a certified kitchen I'm able to work out of as well. So, I mean, website, I can be contacted on my website, or my cell phone number is my primary business.
Thank you.
So I think we have another question from the audience. it's Megan, this one's for you about how many employees do you have since you work another full-time job? And this kind of goes maybe to all of you, is just how do you balance, even when you're getting started, you know, having a job and then going into your business the way you did?
Well, for me, I'm a teacher. And so, you know, most people would think that it's only a summer thing with flowers, but truly, I mean, there's a lot. I pretty much I start in February starting seeds, and then I go through about mid-November by the time I get everything cleaned up. And then I do quite a bit of planning. So the way that I manage that, and that's such a good question, because most farmers, we have to work another job. Even though my farm is doing really well for only, you know, being a fledgling farm, I'm a single parent as well. And so I have to have the income. So I'm a teacher. And I ended up having one employee this summer who was a college student. She left me in August, and I really thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to do it. But I think the secret for me is just that I keep my farming space small so that one person can handle it. And then, so we do about a half an acre. And then if I had another person, that was just a major blessing. So it was wonderful while I had her. And plus, I think the other key that you need to know is proximity. My job is only 6 minutes from my farm. And that was one major reason why I chose my farm, was that it was that close. So on my lunch hour, I can run home and do the things I need to do. And then I'm home by 4 o'clock and I leave by 8 o'clock. And so for me, that flexibility in my job and being so close was the winner. But you better bet that next year I'm going to find an employee that can stay all the way through the fall, because since she left, I really have been struggling. No kidding.
And I know, Mike, you kind of touched on that, where you have family helping you and you had to hire more employees. But when you were starting out, how did that kind of balance for you?
It was really hard. When we moved on to the farm, we both quit graduate school. Had no idea what we were doing, no business plan at that point. It was just a pipe dream. And it went bad real quick. You know, coming out, I had a college degree and had to start just getting a bunch of part-time jobs so I could work around the schedule. My wife did the same thing. Having our first kid really changed that dynamic a lot. You have a whole lot less time. More recently, our second child 3 years ago made that even bigger challenge. But initially it was just a lot of sacrifice, living on very, very little. Luckily we had the farm and we grew most of our own food. So we were able to scrape by. It made expanding the farm very long and slow because we really had no leftover money ever. And we were trying to not go into debt to try to build the farm up to what we hoped it would be. I know a lot of farms that have over leveraged themselves like that, and they shoot themselves in the foot, especially if something like what happened this spring. I know 4 farms across the country who had expanded, and in good times, they probably payroll, and they're all part-time. We're trying more and more to make things as efficient as possible. There's a lot to be said about efficiency in farming, especially as you scale up. Something that seems easy when you have a small garden, you know, say you're working on tomatoes, something that's easy for 5 tomato plants. If all of a sudden you have 500 tomato plants, that easy task now becomes 3 whole days worth of work. And so making things efficient, there's a great book out called Lean Farming that I recommend everybody read. I think it's called Lean Farming, but it's about those little efficiencies. They really add up. They make a big difference. So yeah, that's my advice on that, I guess.
And Angela, would you like to add to that?
Balance, what is that? um it's hard, it's a struggle, and that's why, about 2 years ago, that's when I decided I can't grow all my own. So, fortunately I was able to connect with other farmers and have that, but I still do a lot of the same stuff on my own. And it just, like I said, the pandemic right now, I mean, it's kind of helped me to do some of the stuff that I need to be doing. So it's kind of a little bit of a blessing in disguise, but I don't know. But yeah, balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is our fourth session now for the week, and I think that's a common theme is how much networking all the farmers seem to do with each other. I mean, everybody's just so nice, and it just seems like they're there to help each other because they know how important this kind of network is.
Mm-hmm.
How much I know you learn from other farmers that might be in different areas, but how important is that regional networking?
I think I'm a big firm believer in bioregionalism, because I believe that we should be, working to learn more about what our current and our local environment provides for us. In bioregionalism, I think we should, eat the foods that grow in our area, as well as skincare, medicine. I mean, I just think it's very important, not only for on a health and wellness view, but it helps keep the our economy strong within our own community. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, through being able to connect with other people and other farms, even when they're different farms, it's led to a lot of things that really help change our business for the better and grow our business. We started a couple of years ago, we started going up to Central Illinois for the Urbana Farmers Market, just kind of hoping for the best. We knew they had a real good market up there, but it's a 3-hour drive from our farm. It's 200 miles door to door. But that led to meeting other farmers up there. And now we work with 2 big organic farms, and they add our mushrooms to their CSAs. We met the co-op that's up there, and we sell to them. Working with these other farmers too, we've then been able to arrange other things. So there's ways of getting our mushrooms to where they need to go. So it's not just all on us. For example, when we take our mushrooms up there, usually it's my brother going up there. There's a flower farm up there, Delight Flower Farm. My brother's now up there, and they have a walk-in cooler. And when he goes up on most of the time on Fridays, we can store our mushrooms overnight in their walk-in cooler so they stay fresh before they go out for market on Saturday and deliveries. So the more you connect, you don't know where the connections are going to go, but they always go somewhere, and it's almost always great.
Right.
So I guess, we talk about some of the challenges, but what are you most proud of?
I think for me, the thing that I was most proud of, I just love the connections that my farm makes with my community. I feel like you wouldn't think that flowers would really, we're not feeding people, but we are in a way. We are feeding, I know it sounds so cheesy to say, but we're kind of feeding people's spirits in a way. I can't tell you how many times people would tell me that they stopped by the flower stand and just thank me because they took it to somebody who was in the hospital or for a funeral or just to put on their windowsill that made them feel better all week. And so for me, just being able to be a little bit of hope and sunshine in my community and making a difference in those people's lives has really enriched mine. And, honestly, that's something that I didn't foresee. When you start out doing something, you think it's going to be one thing and then it turns into something else a lot of the time. And so for
Absolutely.
me, that's been the thing that I've been the most proud of.
Nice. Mike or Angela?
Yeah, it's been amazing to see how our community has come together when all this happened. Things got scary. There's a lot of negativity in the world. But when everybody in our community has been so incredible, I feel like everybody's working together more. We had CSA members buy extra shares to give away. We had CSA members re-sign up
Wow.
just because they had the means and they knew we were probably in a terrible situation. We've had people cross, different farms cross promoting each other, restaurants cross promoting each other, restaurants promoting the farms promoting the restaurants, people sharing things. We've had people come in and buying things just to then go give away. We've been trying to donate as well, but it's been really incredible to see everybody come together. Because at times the struggle is real, and we don't get through this if we're not together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the co-op, we work with a lot of the small farms, and, we don't have all that red tape, but it's great to have these outlets. And I know, like Big Buddy Hogs, we had they spoke yesterday. He's got a little food hub farm that he sells farmers products to. And it's just amazing how, you don't have to be a big corporation to make a big impact in your area. And I think that's just learning about all this it's just amazing. And it's something we might not think about, but I think the pandemic has really drawn that out. Just where your food comes from, how you're going to get it. Because when things shut down, I mean, that's something we're not used to. So it's definitely been a big adjustment.
I think it really highlighted the need for local food systems.
Absolutely.
Leaf Food Hub or Big Money Food Hub or the local CSAs. There's all these food shortages going on. You couldn't go to the grocery store. All these, everybody freaking out about meat shortages, egg, milk, toilet paper, everything. Meanwhile, there's farmers surrounding everybody, all of us, and we all have everything. It's not a food shortage. It's an industrialized distribution network failure.
Right.
Right.
So one of our attendees made a comment in the chat that all of you are so positive. And I think it's so true. And I think I see this a lot with Farm Beginnings students that, and small farmers, that they are very positive. And I think it's because they're doing something they love. And that's, I see kind of over and over again. We talk about, in Farm Beginnings, kind of, what is your farm dream? And we go through a visualization process to kind of narrow down, I think Meghan said earlier, because do everything, throw it against the wall, see what happens. And that's part of the process. And we kind of narrow down and really look at how do you match what you're doing for your work, for your farm, with your values, with what you care about in the world. And so over and over again, I see folks just incredible positivity amongst local farmers. It's just beautiful. There's one last question. This one's for you, Mike. Have you heard of mushroom ketchup?
I think the question is have you heard about mushroom ketchup?
Oh, yes. We've been planning on hopefully bringing that probably by spring. We've been real busy. We haven't even hardly had time the last couple of weeks to make our jerky. But we are working on some recipes for the mushroom ketchup. It'll probably never be kind of like the jerky and the other things. Growing fresh mushrooms is our main goal, at least, especially for now. But we are working on that. We're working on a few other jerky recipes as well. So hopefully, probably get to it a little more this winter when things slow down a little bit. They never slow down all the way, but it gets a little bit slower, maybe.
Well, does anybody have anything else to add tonight?
No, I just like to thank Co-op and the Food Works for doing this. This is a
Absolutely.
different
Yeah,
thing.
thank
I think
you.
we've been on every farm crawl except for one when we're out of town for a wedding one year. It's always a lot of fun seeing everybody. So hopefully next year we can go back to in person. But thanks for having me.
Thank you all. Amy?
All right. Well, again, we like to thank you guys for presenting tonight. I love the insight. I love to hear the ups and the downs, and that you are down here. It's so you're working through all the challenges, even through this COVID, this fun stuff. But again, thank you for taking the time. We appreciate you being here. I hope it's a different platform come next year, but we'll see. So thank you. And we just want to let our listeners know that these are being recorded. So come next week, we plan on putting this all up online. You will receive an email if you're signed up. So if you have people who you talk to and they're interested, it will be posted on the website too. So it's going to have all the links to the sessions, all the contact information. So we just want to be this network and go forward to help support all these farms in our area. Again, we'd like to thank all the sponsors that helped us in this event. Without them, it's been a struggle. This is just a unique year. So thank you to all of them. Please support them because they're supporting our community. But tune in tomorrow because that's our last day. We got another great session. We have Dr. Nikki Davis, who is actually our chef that I mentioned earlier, who developed the recipes for these meal kits. She's going to talk about just her past heritage and what inspired her to get into cooking. Again, that wasn't her main thing. She has another job too, but she's really been working toward bringing back that tradition of cooking at home and gathering at the table. We will also hear from Liz Ruppel from the Illinois Stewardship Alliance, and she's just going to talk about how these trends with our food system are going to look in our future. So please stay tuned for that. And again, we thank everybody for coming to the virtual farm crawl.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.